depth with. Davante Adams obviously is one of the best receivers in the game right now. Even the backup or even the second and third options that Aaron Rodgers has are still very capable receivers, and Scantling and Lazar, and obviously Randall Cobb coming back. Cornerback room has been a little bit pieced together, right, to say the least. We obviously know Lenoir is going to be there. There is a lot of sentiment that Mosley's going to be back for this game, right? It's trending that way. He's practicing. So more than likely, it looks like it's going to be Mosley and Lenoir as the top two corners. And then obviously Norman probably being next man up, and so on and so forth. Looking at this cornerback room, do you believe in this cornerback room? Do you believe in these cornerbacks? Or do you think that they're going to be a liability, especially in this next 3-game sprint where they're going to be going up against, top 10 receivers pretty much in every single game?
That's what I have here in my notes in regards to this question. Is the true test is coming. The true test is this 3-game gauntlet that we have ahead of us for the 49ers. You're facing Davante Adams. I mean, what a great game to come back for E-Man, right? Poor Emmanuel Mosley comes back and part of the assignment is going to be blanketing Davante Adams. Good luck with that. That'll be fun. And then you have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett the next week, and then DeAndre Hopkins the week after. So it is a incredible stretch for this team. My comfort right now against the Packers is the idea that Aaron Rodgers is not one of the mobile quarterbacks in the league. He can move around in the pocket, and he's slipperier than a Tom Brady or someone that's a true statue in there, but he's no Kyler Murray. He's no Russell Wilson. He is not going to gash you in that same way. He's going to frustrate you by getting out of the pocket and completing some balls, and he will occasionally, if you leave the middle of the field open, gash you for some big runs, but it's not going to be the 10 for 82 stat line that you get from a Jalen Hurts. So I'm left wondering right now, with an incomplete picture of who we've gone up against, do I trust this room? And initially, my gut instinct was no. My gut instinct was, when Verrett went down, that I needed to change my assessment of this defense, that it was no longer going to be a top 5 defense, that you need one shutdown cornerback, one cornerback who can go up against Davante Adams and contain him to some degree. And then next week, he shadows DK Metcalf, and then he's on DeAndre Hopkins. Now we're asking, I would think, Emmanuel Mosley to shadow those 3 wide receivers, or more likely scheming around those wide receivers in an attempt to lessen the impact that they have on the game. And so my answer is nuanced and potentially not as exciting as it might be if I just said one way or the other. But it's sort of a yes if for me. Yes, at this moment, I have faith in this defensive back room. And that surprises me because, again, the gut instinct was no. But in thinking about it, what I realize is, with this defensive front, with the dominance of this defensive line, with the headiness of Fred Warner behind them, with the veteran safeties back behind the defensive backs, really all you need from your defensive backs is average to above average play, because within this scheme, that's what's asked of them. So with that caveat, yes, I have faith that these defensive backs, Lenoir, I need to polish up on my French to get that pronunciation going again. Lenoir is a very talented young rookie. I like everything I've seen from him so far. It's a very small sample size. So given that caveat, I'm saying, yes, I have the faith. And then I think E-Man, I've always been a fan. I didn't get fans who were questioning his skill set in the past couple of years. I think he's a talented defensive back. I loved him as our second corner. I'm not wild about the fact that he has to be our number 1 going forward, but who knows? If the rookie continues to progress, potentially we see that as 1 and then E-Man as 2. But the long-winded answer for me is yes, I have faith in these young defensive backs.
It's remarkable to think that our starting corners could be a 5th round draft pick and an undrafted rookie, or undrafted in his rookie year in Eman Mosley. And I'm with you, man. I don't think this cornerback room is going to be a liability. And I'm going to go one step further, Rob. Against Green Bay and against Seattle, both of which in my eyes are porous offensive lines.
Right.
Our defensive line is going to make these quarterbacks see bodies in front of them at all times. And I'm expecting multiple interception games from the Green Bay game and the Seattle game from this 49ers secondary. Cornerbacks as well as safeties.
I love that prediction. Cheers to that.
I got you with my Gatorade bottle full of water.
Yes, sir.
And I think it's because you know how they always talk about complementary football when you're playing offense and defense. Well, I think this defense has a complementary defensive style at the 4 different levels, right? So the defensive line is the bread and butter, right? If the defensive line isn't playing well, this defense isn't going to be playing well. So their ability to get into the backfield is the one consistent that we've seen out of all of these games, right?
Yes.
Nick Bosa's getting back there. D4 is getting back there when he's playing. Kentavious Street's getting back there. So against these weaker offensive lines, people forget how good the Eagles' offensive line is. They were porous last season because 2 of their biggest starters, it's like Trent Williams and Alex Mack being out. That's what it was like for them with Lane Johnson and Brandon. I forget the guy's last name, but they still got back there and were able to get Jalen Hurts to where he needed to run. He didn't have enough time to pass. So you do that with a less mobile quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, with a weaker offensive line like Green Bay has. I could see the 49ers getting five sacks and 2 interceptions from this game, just because the Aaron Rodgers is going to have to speed up and take some risks, which we know he'll do. And I think that these guys are cerebral. Everybody in the defensive back room are cerebral players that play positioning more than just being pure athletes. And I think they're going to be in the right positions at the right time and be able to maximize off of that. Same thing with Seattle. I don't think their offensive line is as good as our defensive line. And I think that they're going to be able, the Bosas are going to be in that backfield, make Russell Wilson, throw the ball a little quicker than he wants to. And I think we're going to be able to get some opportunities off of that. Not so much in Arizona, I don't think, but those 2 games, I think that we could see double-digit interceptions from this secondary.
I sure hope so.
I'm throwing out some predictions right now, baby.
I love it. I love to look forward into Seattle. I do worry that with the mobile quarterbacks, we just struggle so much. Not that everyone doesn't struggle, because every team does struggle to cover a mobile quarterback. That's the advantage of having a mobile quarterback, and why many 49ers fans would like to see our mobile quarterback out there on the field, because it is hard to defend. But in particular, our defensive line, with the aggression that they have, I sure hope that we're able to have that type of success. I do see it with Rodgers early. And I don't know if you see this the same way, but week 1, he looked checked out. Rodgers just looked disinterested in week 1. And even in week 2, when things didn't go his way, he shot some glances over to the sideline that had a lot of weight to him. There's some real hatred in his eyes. And there's some tense things going on between he and the organization. So I wonder if we get to him early and if we frustrate him and if he throws a couple of picks, I wonder if he'll check out a bit during the game.
Harold Murillo, 1 game at a time, Sunil, 1 game at a time. You're right, Harold, but I'm making predictions right now, and I think that's what I see. I think that if the defensive line, the games that the defensive line is able to dominate, and that's going to be against weaker offensive lines, which I think these next 2 weeks are weaker than what we've seen in the first 2 weeks. I think that the cornerbacks and the safeties are going to be able to get some turnovers, because that's been their focus. When Grant talked to Jimmy Ward, his number 1 focus was, I want to intercept the ball more this season. So I think they're looking for that. I think we've already seen Demo, be in positions where he could. We saw him in the preseason get an interception. So I think that, I think we're going to see some of that.
And there have been a few blitzes that just haven't gotten home. They were blocked up well by the team, in particular Philly, as I was going back through. And you would think going up against a porous offensive line like the one we're going to face going against Green Bay, that those blitzes could get home, could force the errant throw, could put Jimmy Ward in the position he wants.